man.
Hey, going back to what we were saying before about the CBD stuff, I wanted to give you my personal recount of that. So it's funny. So I remember when I first started ever smoking weed, my mum and dad are pretty chilled, and they again had those kind of archaic thoughts of like, you know, I don't want you doing this and becoming like a fucking lazy no-hoper or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, I used to rock up home when I was like 16, 17, when I'd only done it a few times, and they could tell that I was fucking stoned out of my mind. I was eating the cupboard fucking out of house and home. I didn't do it much around that time, but they didn't really care that much. Again, they just give me the same classic tale of that. But it's funny thinking of that compared to now. Both my parents are on CBD oil. So my mum's got...
your mum now as well? Because I remember you saying about your dad.
Oh, so it was mum first.
Oh, it was mum
so
first.
We just got dad recently. So mum's got osteoarthritis.
Yeah.
So her back's fucked. Like she's had problems with it for ages. She got to the point where she was having to have like hectic painkillers, not all the time, but like as a way to be able to fucking move or sleep. And so because you can now get CBD like over the counter of Happy High Herbs, mum went and got herself some, and she's been able to now get herself to the point that she doesn't have any of the hectic painkillers at all.
Yeah.
She's found that it's helped her in other ways of just like her general feeling and her stomach and sleeping and the pain relief and everything, just from having a couple of drops of that at night. So then we kept trying to ask dad, because it's expensive. Dad's like, no, it's mum. He's just one of those selfless people that's like, you know, worries more about mum than himself. And like he broke his neck in high school. They operated too early. He's dealt with problems. Like he's paralyzed pretty much down one side. Like he can walk and move, but it's very weak, there's no strength, and it's just deteriorating over time.
Yeah.
So he's in constant pain. Like he sleeps in a fucking armchair. Because if he tries to go to bed, he just wakes up in agony. And so we were trying to push him to try it as well, and he wouldn't do it. So my brother and my mate, Alan, who you know, went and brought one of the massive bottles and gave it to him and said, you've got no fucking excuse.
That's so good, man. That's so good.
Straight away, knocking him the fuck out.
Yeah.
Now he's still waking up sore and things like that because like he's so used to sleeping so light that he can adjust himself all the time into a position that's not...
So when he's like deep sleeping, his body's like stuck in the one position.
So, but he's almost hopefully finally got his new bed that'll be like a motorized bed thing.
Yeah.
So he can get himself into good position or whatever. So we're hoping the combination of that and the CBD oil. But it's just amazing to think of. You know, you've got parents that again, whilst they weren't like the big, you know, fucking in the streets marching against marijuana, they definitely had that classic kind of like, you know, lazy no-hoper.
Well, that's the whole conspiracy or the whole lie behind it. You know, like obviously if you abuse anything, you abuse opiates or like whatever it may be, painkillers.
It could be
food, sugar, you know, anything, you abuse anything, it's going to be a fucking problem.
Yeah.
But like the thing with weed is like they demonized it so hard, and I think they did that. Maybe like retrospectively looking at it, I think they did that is because they knew that it had so many positive benefits, and they knew that when people were having CBD oil or they did have THC, their minds were thinking in different ways. They were thinking of different things about the world that they didn't want people thinking about.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like they wanted to shut it down because it's so evil and it's so bad. Like the proof's in the pudding with alcohol, man. It's like that is literally poison. There's nothing more to it. Like
even just look at it from a pharmaceutical level, right? The amount of when we've all got first-hand recounts, right, of people that have said, and this is especially with the older generation, the ones that have done it for a long time or that do it now, and this is just with even smoking marijuana, the testament to it helps my insomnia, it helps me with my appetite, it helps me with my anxiety, it helps me with my depression, it helps me with my this, my that, my everything else.
Yeah.
Now, that's just the smoking version, and then you've got obviously the CBD benefits, which is like the pain relief and the insomnia and a lot of those as well, but just in a different way, and it doesn't have the psychoactive or whatever.
Well, even the cancer suppression side of it, bro.
I mean, you look at that, right? Well, even going back, you remember seeing the videos of the woman or the guy with Parkinson's, and he's like barely moving, can't speak, like, and he's shaking very violently. You can tell he's so uncomfortable, and then they put like 2 drops of CBD under his tongue. Then they flash back to him 10 minutes later and he's having a conversation with the camera.
Yeah.
Like, and yet that person would have been on knows how many drugs for that long.
Oh, yeah.
Doing all the damage to his liver and his kidneys and everything else, and never getting even fucking 50% of the relief that CBD gave him in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So if you look at it from a pharmaceutical level, the amount of their drugs that would come off the shelf instantly